Hi friends, Holly here at the South Texas Skillet, and today we're going to make a Cajun chicken pasta. Now, I have never made this pasta before, so we're just going to make it together for the very first time. All right, let's get started. So we have 2.5 breasts of diced chicken. This is diced into about 1-inch pieces. Our chicken breasts that we buy at our store are pretty large, so 2.5 of the breasts are going to be enough to feed about 5 people. We're going to use some creole seasoning. Now this seasoning is a little bit spicy. It's not terribly spicy. If you wanted it to be more spicy, you can get the Cajun seasoning instead, or you can get the creole seasoning and add some cayenne to it. So I'm just gonna season my chicken pretty generously. That's about, I would say, about a tablespoon or two. All right, and then to this, I'm gonna add a few more spices. So I do wanna add some garlic powder. You could just leave it as the creole seasoning if you wanted to, but I kind of wanted to add a little bit more to it. Onion powder. And we're gonna do some black pepper. Now with this creole seasoning, it is pretty salty, so you shouldn't have to add any more salt to it. Let's give it a mix. All right, when all of the pieces are evenly coated with the seasoning mixture, then set this aside and let it rest while you get your vegetables chopped up. All right, we're going to start with an onion. So the onion, you're going to just do a rough dice. All right, add all of this to a bowl. All right, then you're going to get a green bell pepper, and you're going to cut it into slices. So I do like to take the tops of my bell peppers and the bottoms, and I'll cut them into slices as well. Just less waste. You're going to add that to the same bowl as your onion. If you want to cut out most of the membrane, you can. And then you're going to do the same thing to the red and the yellow onions. There are different ways that you can slice up bell peppers. Do whatever way is the most comfortable for you. Some people like to cut the bell pepper off of the core and then slice it. Some like to do what I do and cut the core out of the bell pepper after cutting off the tops and the bottoms. Just do whatever you are comfortable with, and it's going to come out just fine. All right, then you're going to take your garlic. I have 3 cloves here. Well, 4. 2 of them are really small. Peel them, and then we're going to mince them up. Okay, then you're going to add your garlic to a separate bowl. Do not add it to the same bowl that your other vegetables are in. It gets added later. Okay, so I already have my water boiling, or I have it started. It's not boiling yet. When it comes up to boiling, then we'll put salt in. I'm going to add some butter to my pan with some olive oil, and we're going to cook the chicken first. Maybe about 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We'll add more butter later when we're making our sauce. So that was about 2 tablespoons of both. Turn this on. Give the butter a chance to melt, and then we're going to add in our chicken. We'll probably have to do it in batches. You don't want to overcrowd your pan with the chicken, because then all it's going to do is release water, and it'll steam instead of searing it. Okay, I'm going to add about half of the meat mixture. And all I'm doing right now is just spreading it out just to make sure each piece is touching the bottom of the pan. All right, once all of your chicken is browned, go ahead and pull it out, and then we'll throw the next batch in. It really doesn't take too long to cook, maybe 5 minutes. I'm gonna add just a little bit more of the olive oil and a little bit more butter for the last batch of chicken. Once our water is boiling, I'm going to add in some salt. And then you're going to add the pasta of your choice. Today we're going to use Rotini. You can use penne pasta for this, or fettuccine. Make sure you give your pasta a stir once you put it in the boiling water. That way it doesn't stick together. All right, our chicken is done. We're gonna pull it out, and then it's time to cook the vegetables. All right, I'm gonna add just a little bit more olive oil. I'm gonna toss in all of the bell peppers and the onions at the same time. Saute this. Don't give it any salt yet. You want the onions to start to caramelize and the bell peppers to soften before you give them any salt. What the salt does is it brings out the water, and it's actually going to steam your vegetables instead of searing them or sauteing them. When you are stirring your vegetables around, make sure you're using what liquid that does come out to scrape up the brown bits on the bottom of your pan. That's going to give your vegetables and your sauce a nice flavor. All right, once your vegetables have softened, it's time to add the garlic. But we're also going to be making our Alfredo sauce. So we want to add enough butter for the Alfredo sauce when we add the garlic. So I'm going to add maybe 3 more tablespoons. I already have a lot of butter in there already and a lot of olive oil. Then I'm just going to add in my garlic. And I'm going to saute this for about 30 seconds. Once you start to smell the garlic, then you know that it's ready for the next ingredients. You don't want it to cook too long because it'll turn really bitter on you. And I can already smell it. So we're going to add in some heavy whipping cream. We're going to do about 2 cups. We might need to adjust that depending on what it looks like. So whenever it cooks down a little bit, I'll see if it looks like we need more of the sauce. If we do, I'm going to add more of that heavy cream. I'm just going to add it right to the vegetables. I'm not going to remove the vegetables for this. And this is a good time to scrape down any of those brown bits on the sides or on the bottom of the Dutch oven or the pan that you're working in. That heavy cream is really good at getting all of that fond up. That's all flavor. And I can already tell that we're going to need more of the heavy cream because once this cooks, the heavy cream is going to thicken up. And we're not going to have enough of the Alfredo sauce for the pasta and the chicken and all the vegetables. So I'm going to add maybe a cup more of the heavy cream. And then because this is a Cajun pasta, I'm going to add more of this creole seasoning. Again, if you have Cajun seasoning, you can use that. You can make your own if you want to. This is supposed to be somewhat spicy, but I do have little kids, so I don't want it to be super spicy. I'm just going to add a little bit of that just for the flavor. And again, I'm just scraping down the sides to make sure all of those brown pieces come off. It adds in all that extra yummy flavor. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and taste this sauce and see if it needs any salt or pepper or any of the creole seasoning. So I think it's good for the seasoning, the creole seasoning, but I do think it needs a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. So I'm going to add that to it. And remember, when you're adding salt to dishes like this, the cheese that you add into the sauce is going to add salt too. So you don't want to over salt it. All right, after a minute or so, your sauce is going to thicken up just a bit. The vegetables are going to finish cooking. You're going to want to turn this off, and then you can add in some Parmesan cheese. This is freshly grated Parmesan cheese, and we're going to add in, this is probably about a cup to a cup and a half. We'll see if we need more. Usually when you make your cheese sauces, you want your heat to be off. With Parmesan, because it's such a harder cheese, it doesn't necessarily have to be off. It can be at a low, but I tend to turn it off anyway. And I can tell I'm going to want some more Parmesan, so let me get another wedge out. Okay. That should be enough. So our sauce is done. I'm going to add back in our chicken and all of the juices from this plate. I'm going to go in with it. And I'm going to add in our pasta. So I don't typically drain my pasta at the sink anymore. You can if you want to. I have found that the pasta water, a lot of times with homemade sauces, really helps. The starch in the pasta water helps make the sauces stick to your pasta noodles. But you can do it any way that you want. All right, so our pasta is done. I did make my Italian cheesy bread, which I'll link for you down below. This goes really well with any pasta dishes that you make. I am going to take some fresh parsley and I'm just going to chop some up. And we're going to use this as a garnish to go on top of our pasta. Just to give it a little pop of color. And I'm going to add some freshly grated Parmesan and some fresh parsley. All right, we're going to give this a try. And remember, I've never made this before, so this was a new recipe for me and our family. All right, so I want to get a piece of chicken and a piece of bell pepper and try to get a noodle as well. Let's try. That is so good. So it is a little bit spicy. We could have had it a bit spicier, but I am feeding kids with this, so I didn't want it to be too hot for them. I think this is going to be perfect. That is really, really good. If you like this content and you want to see more of it, go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe. That really does help me grow as a content creator. And let me know what other meals or what other dishes you would like to see.